Hey, I'm Daniel. I'm 29, and let me tell you, for most of my life I've been the one everyone leaned on, even though I always ended up taking the fall for everything that went wrong. Sounds kinda dramatic, right? But seriously, I'm not making this up. I'm the oldest of three. My sister Vanessa's 25 and my brother Corey's 21. My mom, Lorraine, she's, well, complicated is the kindest way to put it. She's got this knack for making herself look like the victim no matter what, even when she's the one who started the whole mess. My dad, he split when I was in high school, said he couldn't handle it anymore, grabbed his stuff and walked out one night without a word. Man, I was so angry at him back then. Seemed totally selfish, like he didn't care about us at all. But as I've gotten older, I've started to see things from his perspective and maybe even understand why he just left. After that, it felt like it was all on me to keep things together. I juggled college and part-time jobs. And when Vanessa had a complete meltdown her sophomore year, I was the one who drove 3 hours to get her. When Corey decided to drop out of school and find himself, I covered his car repairs and co-signed on his first apartment lease. All the while, Mom was at home acting like the queen of the castle, constantly reminding us how much she'd sacrificed. Like, seriously, most of her sacrifices were just, buying groceries and driving us to school. Basic mom stuff, really. I really tried to be patient. I didn't want to be the one holding a grudge. I thought if I just kept showing up, being the one everyone could count on, things would eventually get better. I hoped she'd finally see the real me, not this version she'd created in her head. But Easter Sunday just blew everything up. It was supposed to be a nice, relaxing holiday. Just family, food, and some polite chit-chat. I flew in from out of town and even got my own Airbnb, even though she kept insisting I stay in the guest room and offered to bring dessert. I even pitched in with setting the table and taking out the trash, trying to keep things positive. When I arrived, Vanessa was already glued to her phone, like she was somewhere else entirely. And Corey, predictably, was late, strolling and wearing flip-flops and a t-shirt like we were at a barbecue, not Easter dinner. Midway through the meal, the conversation went south, like it always did. Mom started in on how families used to be closer, and kids these days are so self-centered. Vanessa rolled her eyes and muttered something about maybe families were closer back then because moms didn't have a golden child. That was a big deal for her, actually. She usually avoids conflict like the plague, but you could tell something had been eating at her, too. Then Mom turned to me, fork frozen in midair, and said, totally calmly, "Well, if we're being honest, Daniel's the reason this family's always a mess." I was speechless. It wasn't even said in anger, which somehow made it worse. It was even worse than that. It was like she honestly believed it, like she was thrilled to finally blurt it out. Vanessa stopped eating. Corey gave this nervous chuckle, then just shut up when he looked at my expression. I just kept staring at her, trying to figure out what the heck I had done to deserve that. All I could manage was, "Excuse me?" She just shrugged and said, "You always have to be the martyr, right? Always wanting the gold star for doing stuff nobody even asked you to do." She added, "If you can't handle the truth, maybe you should just stay away." It was how she said it, not just the words, but the complete brush-off. I looked around the table, hoping anyone would say something, but nobody did. Vanessa looked a little awkward, but she didn't say anything. Corey wouldn't even look me in the eye, and Mom just went back to eating like I'd asked her to pass the pepper. I slowly stood up. My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice down. I didn't start yelling or make a big deal of it. I just said, "Got it." Then I left, no door slamming, no big speech. I walked out to my rental car and drove back to my place in total silence. I didn't cry. I wasn't even mad. I felt empty, like somebody had just turned off a switch inside me. The thing is, what my mom didn't realize was that I'd been paying way more than just an emotional toll all these years. Ever since Dad left, I'd been handling about half the bills. Not just throwing money in here and there. I'm talking about utilities, groceries, the internet, even their property taxes. Sometimes, when money was super tight, she'd act like she was the one holding everything together. But let's be real, if I hadn't been sending money every month, they would have been in serious trouble ages ago. She never directly asked, no way. That would mean admitting she needed me. Instead, she laid on the guilt. She'd frame it like, "You're helping your family." Stuff like, "You wouldn't want the utilities turned off while your siblings are still there, right?" That night, back at my place, I stared up at the ceiling in my Airbnb, and something clicked that I should have seen a long time before. I was always just going to be the fall guy in that house. No matter how much I did or gave, I'd always be the one getting the blame when things went south. So I sat down at my laptop and started making changes. One by one, I went through the accounts: electricity, gas, water, internet. I didn't shut anything off completely. That would have been too obvious. I just took my name off, stopped the automatic payments, and set the last day of service. No warning, no note, just quietly and effectively took my hands off the situation. Then I logged into the joint grocery account that I'd been contributing to for years and took my card off. I emailed the bank to get myself removed from Corey's car loan as a cosigner. I'd already paid most of it off, and the rest was small enough that they could handle it without me. I even got in touch with the accountant who'd been helping me with the family expenses and told him that line item was permanently closed. I didn't block anyone. I didn't say a word, I just waited. A whole week went by. Nothing. Then another, too. Finally, the phone rang. It was a Saturday, and I was making breakfast when her name popped up. I let it go to voicemail. Then another buzz of text, something about the Wi-Fi, the TV, even the water being off. Said there was a power problem and to call her back. I blew it off. An hour later, the phone rang again. This time, I picked up. She was totally freaking out. "Daniel, everything's dead. What did you do?" "I'm asking you as your mother. No lights, no water, no internet. Corey's losing it. What's going on?" I was calm as could be, stirring my eggs, and just said, "Guess the family disgrace took the utilities with it." Then I hung up. That's when things really went sideways. The quiet after that call was intense, but it felt good. I sat there in my little kitchen, eating my eggs and toast like it was any other Saturday, picturing the total meltdown back at the house. I saw Mom pacing around in her slippers, yelling about disrespect and how I'd betrayed her, her phone buzzing with overdue bills and warnings from the utility companies. It wasn't even revenge, not really. It was more like a release. Like finally I wasn't pretending anymore. She'd been writing my life for years. About an hour later, Vanessa texted, "Did you shut off the power?" I didn't reply. It wasn't anger I felt towards her, not at all. Honestly, I felt bad for her. She'd been ignored and dismissed for years, but unlike me, she just kept quiet to get by. I couldn't blame her for that, you know. But I also couldn't ignore how she just sat there that Easter while Mom basically ripped me apart in front of everyone. Then Corey chimed in. His text, a total masterpiece of passive-aggressive guilt. Real mature, right? He just shut everything down, left us hanging. Seriously, grow up. No punctuation, nothing acknowledging what even happened. Just this sense of entitlement, like he'd never had to clean up his own messes. I read it twice, then deleted the whole thing. By Sunday, the missed calls tripled. Mom, Corey, even Aunt Denise hadn't talked to me in ages, all left voicemails wanting to know what was going on. Aunt Denise's message was the kicker. "Sweetheart," she said, "your mother is devastated. She says you lashed out and abandoned them. That's not like you. Can't you just talk this through like adults?" The way she said lashed out made it sound like I'd thrown a chair or something, when really I just left. That's when it hit me. They weren't freaking out because the power was out. They were freaking out because they lost control. I was their backup plan, their invisible safety net, their steady paycheck that came with free tech support and emotional labor, all without a single word of complaint. But not anymore. I got a text from my mom on Monday, and it really stopped me in my tracks. It said, "You always have to make things about you. I don't know what you think you're doing. You're so dramatic. Congrats, you proved your point. Now turn everything back on, or I'll go to your boss and tell them what you're really like." I just stared at my phone. There it was, the truth. No pretense anymore. All I saw was manipulation and threats, and that she still felt I owed her something. I almost started laughing. She didn't know where I worked anymore. She didn't know my boss. I had a whole new job. I'd changed jobs over a year ago, so the fact that she thought that was her winning move, that told me everything. I typed back 3 words, "Don't even try." No punctuation, just like Corey. I blocked her number after that. Not because I wanted to be mean, but because I had to. I needed to get away from her. I wouldn't let her waltz back in like everything was fine just because things were starting to get bad. A week went by, then 2. 3 weeks later, I got another message from Vanessa. It wasn't a question this time. It was a picture. It showed the front of our old house where we grew up. But it was different now. Trash bags were piled up near the front steps, a notice on the door, and Corey was sitting there on the porch, head in his hood, staring at the ground. Vanessa's message said, "They're struggling, but Mom won't admit it." She kept saying the bank screwed something up. I just stayed quiet about that. Honestly, while they were all stressing, I was finally finding some peace, the first time since, like ever. I had money in the bank that wasn't disappearing. I was cooking more every month, sleeping better. I even started doing my photography again, something I'd loved back in college. I realized I wasn't mad anymore. I was just finished. And that feeling brought a strange kind of understanding. Then the email. "Daniel, please." It was from Mom. This time, no yelling, no blame. Just a long, kind of messy email about how tough things had been, how nobody could have seen the economy coming, how Corey was having trouble, and Vanessa wasn't helping out. Then the punchline. I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but we're still family, and family supports each other. I stared at those words forever because, yeah, I totally agreed. Family does support each other, but not like that. Not with conditions, not with guilt trips, not when one person is carrying the whole load while everyone else is sitting back, calling it a team effort. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent the email to my lawyer with a quick, "Can we look at the support agreement I have? I want a formal letter saying I'm out." He got back to me in like an hour, already on it. And that's when I knew there was no going back. Just when I thought I'd found a little calm, bam, life threw me a curveball. There was a knock at my door and it was almost 9 at night. I wasn't anticipating anyone. When I opened it, I practically stopped breathing. There stood Vanessa, looking completely wiped out and honestly kind of defenseless. She didn't say a word at first, just held up a grocery bag and said, "I got that tea you like." The weird one with lavender and hibiscus. I let her inside. She sat down on the couch, glanced around, and then finally said, "The house is a mess, Danny." I just nodded. She kept going, "I'm not here to make you feel bad. I just needed to get away. They're all at each other's throats now. Corey yelled at Mom yesterday, said he never wanted to grow up in a messed up family. Then Mom blamed you again. I told her I didn't believe her anymore. That was harder than I thought it would be. I asked her, "So why are you really here?" She just shrugged. "Because I want out too, but I don't even know where to start." And just like that, everything changed. Suddenly, I wasn't the bad guy anymore. I was the way out. I didn't say anything right away. We just sat there for a while, me in the armchair, her curled up on the couch like she used to when we were kids, when she had nightmares. Only this time, the nightmare was real, and we were both stuck right in the middle of it. I looked at her. Vanessa was always the quiet one, the mediator. She figured out early on that the best way to avoid Mom's temper was to just keep her head down and go along with things. Something in her eyes had changed, like she was finally done playing small. She took a slow sip of her tea and said, "So you know what she said the other day? That you always thought you were better than us, that you were trying to punish us." I told her, "No way. Daniel just finally stopped letting Mom walk all over him. That meant a whole lot more to him than she probably gets." For so long, I felt like I was the only one who saw what was really happening. Mom had this knack for making people question themselves, twisting things just enough to mess with your head. And when nobody else backed me up, it was easy to start thinking I was the problem. But hearing Vanessa say she saw it too, man, it was like a huge weight lifted. I asked her, "So what's next? What do you want to do?" She kind of hesitated. "I've been thinking about moving out," she said, "getting my own place, maybe even leaving the state, but I'm terrified. I've never done anything without Mom breathing down my neck." I said softly, "Maybe it's time you learned how. You deserve to live your own life." She looked up, a little smile on her face. "Do you think it's too late for me?" I shook my head. "No way, but you gotta stop asking for permission to just be. That's the first step." She nodded, and for the first time in ages, it felt like we were really connecting as sisters, not fake nice, not forced. Just two people who'd been through hell together, finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. She crashed on the pull-out couch that night, snuggled under that old blanket I'd gotten ages ago, one freezing winter when I was feeling really down. The next morning, we ate breakfast together. Nothing fancy, just toast and some fruit, and the quiet between us wasn't awkward for once. As she was heading out the door, she turned back. "Don't worry," she said, "I'm not going back to her." I raised an eyebrow. "Seriously?" I asked. She smiled. "Yeah, I'm done with her games, finally." And then poof, she was gone. I never saw that coming. A letter, not an email, not a text, a real, honest-to-goodness letter. A pale blue envelope with our house address scrawled on it in Mom's loopy handwriting. I almost tossed it, but something made me open it, just to see what she had to say. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No dear so-and-so, nothing, no sorry, just this. "I hope you're proud of yourself. You've turned your siblings against me. You've wrecked this family. Don't think you're better than us just because you have some money and think you're so high and mighty. Someday you'll need help and nobody will be there." No name, no address. It was almost laughable. Even in writing, she couldn't help but make herself the victim. No taking responsibility, no self-reflection, just blame and a whole lot of bitterness. I folded the letter up real neat and fed it into the shredder. That night, I poured myself a drink and sat on my balcony, watching the city lights twinkle. I thought about everything I'd lost and everything I'd finally left behind. For the first time in ages, I didn't feel like the bad guy. I felt like I'd finally pulled myself out of the fire. But just when I was starting to feel good, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. I usually wouldn't have answered, but I had a weird feeling I should. A raspy voice on the other end said, "Is this Daniel Carson?" "Who's asking?" I replied. "This is Dave. I'm your mom's neighbor." He continued, "I know we haven't met, but you might want to come over." He then added there was an incident. My stomach dropped. "What kind of incident?" I asked. He paused for a second. She's okay. Physically, I mean, but the cops were here and someone from Child Services, too. Figured you should know. Child Services, seriously. Yeah, your mom's been letting this woman and her 2 kids live at the house. No power, no heat, nothing. Someone called it in anonymously. I leaned back, completely shocked. Mom always had a way of being dramatic, but this was a whole new level. Letting strangers live in that kind of mess in our old house. Thanks for the heads up, I managed to say, feeling numb. I'll figure it out. As soon as I hung up, it all started to make sense. She wasn't just falling apart, she was pulling others down with her. And if the state was involved, that meant a whole lot of legal stuff, records, and a bunch of investigations. Suddenly, I realized it was more than just her being angry. She was truly desperate. And desperate people, they can be dangerous. I opened my laptop, my heart racing, and started writing an affidavit for my lawyer, detailing everything I'd done financially for her over the years. Every single payment, every time I co-signed, every saved email or bank record, I had to protect myself. I knew it, because if she went down, she wouldn't go alone. I wasn't letting her drag me down with her, so I spent a couple of days putting everything together. Old emails, money transfers, utility bills, even screenshots of texts where she, thanked me for helping with the water or paying the electric bill, like good son stuff. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was building a damn wall between me and the mess she was about to cause. And sure enough, it happened. On Friday morning, I got an email from a social worker. It was nice and polite, but also completely terrifying. She was looking into some problems at my mom's place and had heard I'd been helping out with money or taking care of things. She wanted to know if I could fill her in. The old me before that Easter would have freaked out. I'd have dropped everything, called my mom, asked what was wrong, offered to send money or clean the place up. But that me was gone. I wrote back to the social worker. I carefully explained that I'd been helping financially for years, but stopped because of the way she treated me, and that I wasn't involved with anyone living there anymore, legally or otherwise. I sent over the PDF of everything I'd gathered and told her thanks for getting in touch. I didn't get emotional or start pointing fingers, just laid out what happened. About an hour later, I heard back. She wrote, "Thanks for being so open and for your help. This will really assist in figuring out what went down. We might reach out if we need more info." That was the end of the legal stuff, but it wasn't over with Mom, not at all. Later that night, there was a knock. It was seriously coming down outside. I was in the middle of a movie, figuring it was either a delivery or maybe Vanessa again. But it was Mom, her hair totally drenched, her makeup a mess, and her eyes kind of crazy. Corey was behind her, holding an umbrella like it was the only shield against the downpour. "I need to come in," she said, not even saying hi. I didn't budge. "Why?" Her voice broke a little. "Because this family's falling apart, Daniel, and you're just standing there like you don't even notice." I took a deep breath. "You said I was the reason things were falling apart. Remember, at Easter, in front of everybody." She just brushed it off like, "Are you still on that, Daniel?" I was getting annoyed. "People say stuff when they're mad." "You weren't mad," I said, trying to keep it cool. "You meant it. You always mean it when it's about me." Corey stepped closer and said quietly, "Dan, come on. This is getting out of control." "The state's talking about taking the house," he told me. "There's an inspection planned. They say Mom's not stable." "She is," I said before I could stop myself. My jaw just dropped. "Are you serious?" I stared right at her. "You let random people with kids stay in a place with no running water. You made it my fault when the utilities I paid for got cut off. You never, not once, took responsibility for anything." "You don't get it," she shot back. "I was raising 3 kids alone, left to fend for myself, and nobody cared." "I didn't abandon you," I said, my voice getting a little louder. "I took care of you for years. I paid all the bills. I cleaned up after you. I put my life on hold to keep this family afloat, and you paid me back by embarrassing me in front of everyone, by turning my siblings against me, by using me." Her expression changed. For a second, I saw something crack in her eyes, but then she did what she always did and switched the blame. "You think you're so much better than us now with your own place, your little job, and your freedom. But when your dad left, I had nothing. I built what I could, and all you've done is tear it all down." I could have argued. I could have yelled back, but I just opened the door wider, not to let them in, but to show them the way out. "You're not welcome here, Mom, and until you get some real help, there's nothing left for us to say." She glared at me, furious and unable to say anything. Corey looked like he wanted to say something, but he just looked down at the ground and went back into the rain with her. I shut the door, locked it, and stood there for a long time, just breathing. That night, Vanessa called. I told her everything. She didn't break down, didn't freak out. "Good," she said. "You finally did it." After that, we started chatting a whole lot more. She followed through, moved out, found a little place, and got some more shifts at work. Plus, she started going to night school. We didn't really bring up Mom much, just enough to stay in the loop. The last we heard, the house didn't pass the inspection. The kids were taken by child services and Mom was gone too. The house got flagged for problems. Corey ended up with some buddies and Vanessa heard Mom was crashing with Aunt Denise. But even that didn't last. As for me, I got a promotion, moved to a bigger place and started helping out on the weekends. I stopped waiting for those texts, letters, or even the holiday cards that never came. And on my birthday, for the first time in years, I didn't get that guilt trip phone call or a package of obligatory homemade cookies. I got nothing. And it was everything. Because in the end, I didn't need to get even. I didn't need to hurt her. I just needed to stop letting her hurt me. And when she finally got that she couldn't control me anymore, when she was stuck in that same silence she used to use against me, I think that was the strongest statement I could have ever made. No words, no money, no tears, just peace. And for once in my life, it was enough.